What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas back with you for joining us on clickorlando.com or on the News 6 YouTube page. Welcome. We are here to talk about Saharan dust tonight, and we've got a lot of it in our sky. You're not going to notice it, really. It's not like a dust storm or something you'd see out west. It's not going to be cinematic like in the movies or anything like that, like you're in Egypt. But nonetheless, we do have a pretty decent concentration of dust hanging out in the mid to upper levels of our atmosphere, and that is going to be the catalyst for some potential dirty rain tomorrow and into early Friday. So if you wake up, there's really not going to be a ton of rain when you wake up. So bad example. So in the afternoon, maybe when you wake up on Friday, anything that you left outside, porch furniture, maybe your car, and you got a downpour, once that rain evaporates, you're going to be left with some kind of dirt or dust residue and little raindrop specks. So that's something that we are going to get into in a big way coming up in a couple of minutes. So what we're going to be talking about, of course, it's the Saharan dust, the unsettled pattern that continues to stay over Central Florida, and the atypical or unusual nature of this, how we're starting things off cloudy and unsettled with the earlier start time, late morning, early afternoon rounds of rain and thunderstorms pushing through. We'll get into all that. We'll, of course, time out your showers and thunderstorms, and then we'll talk about the heat coming back for the weekend. I do think we're going to be on the drier side as well once we get into the weekend. Okay, so a lot of stuff to talk about. As we roll forward. That's the Saharan dust. I first want to talk about some sad news earlier today, and it's not 100% confirmed that the weather was involved, but you may have heard about the fatal crane accident, the collapse at the construction site at the hospital on Merritt Island. Certainly, weather was nasty at that time, and I wanted to show you here the radar picture coming through. Of course, we'll pass along when things become official, but the National Weather Service did confirm 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts at the time due to a gust front. Now, what is a gust front? If you remember, about a decade ago, very big news story, I believe it was the Indiana State Fair, where I forget what band, they're pretty popular. They were performing on stage, and then all of a sudden the stage collapsed. It was blown over. There were no thunderstorms, there were no lightning or anything like that around. Same deal here. When you get these thunderstorms like we typically get, that rain-cooled air accelerates away from the parent thunderstorm. So no doubt the skies were looking ominous. I mean, we're talking about all that heavy rain and red there coming out of Rockledge, coming out of Cocoa, and everything, and just kind of pushing through. Now, again, gonna wait for the report to come out, but that is it's very, very ugly to have an active construction site when that's going on. Mentioned before that the National Weather Service did confirm 50-mile-per-hour winds at the surface. We're looking at Borman Drive. That is where the construction site was. That's where the crane was. ACR radar estimating winds of about 50 miles an hour as that storm came right on through. So again, it is a really, really sad event, really unfortunate event tonight. And we will see if they confirm their written the statement put out that weather was involved. Of course, we saw it on radar coming through. It was a really, really nasty and a sad story there. So we'll keep you posted on that. Of course, we're going to have much more on that story when Matt and Ginger and I are all together coming up at 11 o'clock on News 6. That's about 54 minutes away. Eric, what is going on, my friend? Good to see you again. I think you get the star of the week for being. I think you've attended all of these so far. Hey, Melissa, good to see you on the live stream. Thanks for hopping over. Christian, what's going on, my friend? All right, so that is that. Now we're going to get into this. The Saharan dust. We get it about every year. Oh, sorry, I think I had, yeah, my bad. I forgot to turn the music off. Sorry about that. Thank you for the, if anything ever sounds weird, thanks, Josh. It's supposed to go off, but I had a weird setup tonight, so it didn't follow all of my trigger progressions as it normally does to cut the music as the main camera goes over. So thank you for that. Sorry for the crazy background noise, the background music. That's typically my 5-minute warning music to start the live stream and then to count down when it starts. So thank you again, Josh, for having my back. Appreciate that. Yeah, he mentions really sad about the collapse. It's so sad. There's also a plane crash in the same general area. Don't know if that was weather related, but it came through right as those storms happened. Everybody was okay on the plane miraculously, but it landed right in the river. Just crazy stuff in Indian River. Okay, so as we roll on here, it's all about the dust. By the way, Oak Hill, taking a live look, and into Haw Creek, Flagler County, and Volusia County tonight. There's the dust. Cool thing about satellite, it can differentiate different layers, almost like looking at different layers of a cake. So what we have going on here is a satellite being able to pick up the dust channel, if you will, versus the cloud cover that we have overhead. And this is what I was talking about last night. It kind of stinks. There are a few breaks in the clouds, but you can kind of see in Oak Hill and the lights that were kind of locked in. We would have crazy sunrises and sunsets right now. It's pretty thick. I think we're at prime level here, though, to get that scattering that you need to create those vibrant sunrises and sunsets. So early tomorrow morning, get up for sunrise and just see. There will be a few showers around, but there will also be a few breaks. It's kind of weird. We're in and out of some of this tropical moisture here. Just keep your fingers crossed, because you might see a cool show tonight. And it might look kind of weird, too, with it kind of bouncing up. There shouldn't be any more music in the background. Let me know if anybody else can hear that music. I'm showing it's muted now. So you might be a little behind, Melissa, on the live stream, on the feed. The other thing that's going to be weird is we were talking about the dirty rain before, and this is what I mean by that. Let me scroll down and show you this. I have the model of the dust overlaid with the model of the rain. If this comes into fruition, those downpours that you see here tomorrow are going to pick up some of that dust in the mid-levels of the atmosphere and kind of transport it down to the surface. When that water droplet kind of breaks when it hits the ground and then evaporates, it's going to leave behind that dirt or dust that it picked up. So those little specks that you may see on porch furniture or your car, if it picks up some of that dust in the atmosphere, it's courtesy of the Sahara Desert, over 3,000 miles away. I think that's one of the coolest things ever. Okay, some good questions here about the dust. Eric is asking, does the Saharan dust affect the environment or human health in the short term? The answer to that is yes. If we do get, it's the biggest catch-22 in the weather world. Good in the sense that it does help to deter tropical development. We like that. Good in the sense that it does produce vibrant sunrises and sunsets. We like that. Bad because, well, okay, let me get my third good in here. The third good is it does help to fertilize the Amazon rainforest, and that's critical for the health of the rainforest. It sends the nitrogen and everything that's embedded in this dust. That's, again, 5,000 to 10,000 feet. You get the rain, and then it comes to the surface, and then it fertilizes the Amazon rainforest. That goes into the first bad of the Saharan dust, because if it's fertilizing the Amazon rainforest, it's also fertilizing nasty alga blooms, and it's fueling red tide. So those are the bad things with the Saharan dust. The other thing is, if it is raining and bringing the dust to the surface, if you are susceptible to allergens or have respiratory issues, that could hurt you as well in the short term. So if you do suffer from that stuff and you start to see the little haze in the sky, if you start to feel a little weird tomorrow and you are susceptible to respiratory illnesses or things like that, respiratory conditions, it could be because of the dust, because we have a decent amount, again, about 15,000 feet-ish above our head. Does the dust contain viruses from that part of the world? It does not. No viruses. So it's not like a movie like The Fog or The Mist or something like that it's going to come and encapsulate and like wipe out humankind or something like that. It's pretty subtle. It's anticlimactic for the most part, unless you get rain to bring it down to the surface, and then you get those little dots, or again you have respiratory problems that would make it like that. So that's what we're talking about right there. I wanted to show you, and again, just like last night, and this is why it's awesome that we're able to stream, just kind of hang out at 10 o'clock, because I get these high resolution model updates every single hour. So I can show you the latest data that I have with me right now at 10 o'clock. And then we'll get another update for the 11 o'clock news. So we can kind of watch the trends together when it comes to the modeling here. Again, I always say it, it's just like fish are friends, not food. That's not our slogan, but it's like that. It's models are guidance, not gospel. And that's why you need to know the different nuances that each model has. They each have different biases. You need to know when to use the right one. We were talking about this 2 nights ago. We were helping our friend in Bradenton. He was a roofer and wanted to know if he could get out there and roof a little bit before the rain came. We told him, yeah. And I think he made out just fine. And then same deal with yesterday with the morning commute. Few showers around this morning, but by and large, we thought it was going to be on the drier side for the commute into work, and we get those storms into the afternoon. Now, already, the model overdoing it. Let's take a look here at the actual radar picture first. How I like to forecast, I'll look at a model, and then I'll look at, okay, is it happening currently what it says it's doing? And you see there, that's a big thumbs down. And this is the kind of the method of my madness here. There's the radar picture scanning our skies. We got a couple of showers off of the Volusia coastline. We have a couple of showers west of Grant Valcaria tonight. I mean, these are super, super light. Let me take you back to the home screen. And then let me show you what the model thought. Let me see if I have the latest. Aha. Okay, the latest just came in. Like as we speak. Okay, so now the latest update, it's doing much better. So that was from earlier this evening. Now this is from the 8 o'clock run. We were talking about this last night, that we run off of Zulu time or Universal time or Greenwich Mean Time. So this is the 0Z run because it's midnight over in England, Greenwich, England. That equates to 8 o'clock, and then it takes a good bit of time for the model to actually crunch the data and everything like that. It's a lot of data. So this is from 8 o'clock tonight, and the 8 o'clock update's doing better than the 2 o'clock update, as you might imagine, as you're closer to the event. But there we go, a few stray showers, and it's doing pretty good. And actually, we saw that downpour west of Grant Valcaria. That's what the model had at 10. Let me show you. Again, there's that very light shower, but it's there right around west of Palm Bay, west of Grant Valcaria. So if you come hang out with us, 10 o'clock, News 6, clickorlando.com, on the News 6 YouTube page. This is a lot of the stuff that we're going to do. We're going to have fun kind of dissecting the models, especially, I mean, you can't really escape the spaghetti models and stuff like that. You know, we're going to get some kind of development eventually this season when it comes to the tropics. We just hope that it's all out to sea. We're going to get into the real nitty gritty after we talk about how this weather impacts you. That's my most important goal, to make sure that you know how to plan your day for tomorrow, the next day, for your weekend. So that's the stuff that we get out. That's going before. I don't think that is the case. I don't think that is the case. I remember that was a big slab of misinformation. Um, that COVID-19 was coming over on the Saharan dust. It's not. It's just not. Um, so it's just not. I know you have an official thing there, but there's no link. So I don't know if you're trying to spread the misinformation or what, or if you've been told that from somebody else. But it doesn't transport disease. It doesn't. It's dust particles suspended 15,000 feet above your head, and contains nitrogen, stuff like that, to fertilize the rainforest. So yeah, I don't know if you're posting that or whatever, or what, but I'm here to tell you that is not true. Good question. So this question coming in from Meme Studio, he's asking if the dust that's coming in gonna be causing dust storms. And the answer to that is no. It's very anticlimactic. So it's not like a dust storm that you would see out in Texas or Oklahoma or Arizona, New Mexico. What the deal is with this is that the dust is kind of suspended about 10 to 20,000 feet above your head. So typically, you're not even going to know it's there unless you have extreme respiratory problems to kind of breathe it in. But you need that dust to get to the surface somehow. And the way that happens is if it mixes with some rain like we will have tomorrow. So the only thing that you're going to notice that we have dust in the atmosphere is if we do clear our skies enough to either A, see a pretty vibrant sunrise tomorrow morning that's kind of reddish in tint. If you wake up tomorrow and see a reddish tint, number one, take a picture, clickorlando.com/pins, or on the free News 6 weather app, there's a section to upload your pictures. It's really cool. It's the best way to get your picture showcased on our live streams like this or on TV. Everybody loves a good picture on TV, and I love to showcase those weather photos as well. So take some photos tomorrow. But if you do see a vibrant sunrise tomorrow, it is going to be because of the Saharan dust up there scattering the light. The other way you'll know it's there is after the fact, if it rains in the same areas that we have a decent concentration of that dust, that rain kind of captures those dust particles and then brings them to the surface when the raindrop dissipates or when the raindrop evaporates. That's whenever you're going to notice kind of like dirty. That's going to kind of be dirty marks left everywhere. This is another great question, and I'm working on an explainer piece for this as we get a little bit deeper in the next week or so. What you're going to do now, if you have the News 6 weather app, there is, and since you're in the in club on this live stream, if you open the News 6 weather app, by the way, it is a free download, okay? Free download to anybody that does not have this app. Let's check this bad boy out real quick. You're going to go to the app. You're going to open it, of course. You're going to see our chief meteorologist, Candace Campos. And then you're going to scroll all the way down. You'll see the pin it section. Let's see. Let's see if we can see this. Let's see if we can see this. You're going to see the pin it section of the Pinpoint Weather app. And then you're going to see a bunch of stuff, a bunch of hurricane-related resources. The picture with the entire team on it's going to take us to our /hurricane page. A lot of good resources, a lot of good write-ups from us when it comes to the tropics. So anything that we write, it's going to be there. But if you want to track the storms, and I don't have anything to show you because, thankfully, we don't have anything to track out there. But if you'd go to the tropical storm tracker portion on the homepage and click on that, it's going to bring you to a super nice map like this, if I can find the camera. And then there's going to be, you can turn on the computer models, you can turn on the National Hurricane Center official forecast cone, and all that stuff. So, all of that. I think it's really cool. I think it's a good upgrade. You're going to get more of our takes on what's going on in the tropics, and there's a bunch of stuff, resources right there on how to prepare. And again, we're going to get all into that within the next couple of weeks. Eric's asking, could dust stick to airplanes at that height and affect pilots' flights? I've never heard of any aviation problems from the dust. If it was thick enough, maybe something with the engine, but I've never heard of any problems. But if we have any aviation experts on the chat tonight, weigh in. That's a little bit beyond my area of expertise. So post in the chat if there happens to be any aviation experts tonight. I would have to think no, although the hurricane hunters do fly through the Saharan air layer to take some measurements and research and stuff. They have the prop plane, so I would imagine that it does not affect them. Okay, and one of those, we were checking the model, and then I forgot to show you guys the model itself. So here we go. This is going to be tomorrow. Let me take this out into the future. So I might hear a couple of downpours overnight. There's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. There's 7, 8 a.m., just a few quick hitting light showers. And then here we go into the afternoon. Kind of some rock and thunderstorms as depicted by the model. Now, one of the things here, it's not a severe weather day. Okay, I want to be clear about that. I'm not expecting widespread severe weather. However, if we do have a radar that looks like this, and if we can get their storms this intense, again, the dust, it's a hard player in the forecast because it works two ways. Not only do we have the dust providing some drier air in the mid levels of the atmosphere, which does help to choke out storm development. Storms don't like dry, dusty air when they're trying to develop. They like that moisture. But the other thing that it might do, if those storms can build, if it can fend off some of that drier air, it can cause the storms, the downdrafts, to be a little more intense, and that could cause some damaging winds. Kind of like what we saw today. We had those very gusty winds within those storms that moved on through. The reason for that is whenever you have dry air in the mid levels of the atmosphere, you have rain falling into that dry air. That dry air then evaporates. When air evaporates, it cools, and cooler air, given the same pressure, is more dense than warm air, and then it will rapidly fall. So the more evaporation you have going on, the more intense cooling you have going on, and then the faster rate of descent of the thunderstorm downdraft. When the downdraft hits the ground, it can't go into the ground. It hits it and spreads out, and then that's where we get the damaging winds. So that would be my concern for tomorrow. Again, we're not in a crazy setup for severe weather or anything like that, but on an isolated scale, we could have damaging wind gusts or at least very, very gusty winds in those storms. So just be on the lookout for that. We are going to be tracking that for you tomorrow afternoon and evening. We'll be streaming on here, and we will be, of course, with you on News 6. Belinda says, storm went through Kissimmee today. Yeah, there were some crazy ones. That was, then it went over toward Brevard County today as well. So thanks for that report. Alrighty, guys, that's going to about do it for us tonight. Really appreciate you tuning in on a Wednesday. Like I said before, going to show you the latest modeling when it comes to these storms tomorrow, and then the heat coming back into Wednesday. Didn't even have a chance to get to the heat. Real quick, didn't have a chance to get to the tropics. This often happens. We get on tangents a lot of times. There we go. That is the best news of the night. No new development expected over the next 7 days. There's our little guy that's been bringing us all the unsettled weather. The center or quasi-center going to stay on shore, no longer expected to develop or take on any kind of tropical characteristics. So that's important to note. So we are looking A-okay in the tropics over the next 7 days. Don't let social media scare you, okay? There's a lot of trash. We do a segment on here, if you're new to the show, trash or trust, okay? The models that you see out there putting a hurricane in the Gulf, that was due up in about 6 days. Not happening. We told you last week it was trash. It's even more trash right now. Alrighty, guys. Join us, 11 o'clock, News 6. Matt and Ginger will be hanging out on the desk. Jamie Say, of course, with sports. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. Who you got, Florida or Edmonton? Post that in the comments. She's going to have some highlights. If the game ends in time, there's some strict rules when they can show sports. So if the game ends on time, she'll have updates and all that stuff in about 10, 30 minutes. I don't know where I was getting 10. It's 10:27. I'm on my third cup of coffee today, and I had to get one right before the 10. I've got trouble staying up late these days. I don't know about you. I'm just rambling now. Alrighty, gonna go get my show ready for the 11 o'clock news. I'll see you in about 30 minutes, and of course, right back here in this chair in the News 6 Digital Weather Center at 10 p.m. Have a great night, guys.